Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. You're watching Indigo Tech Tutorials. So in this video we're going to continue on the series where we're going to build a social media app. Already we have this simple feed page where users can post these posts. This is what the post form looks like. We just have a caption, body, images. So it's a really simple app right now. And in this video we're going to continue on it and try to make this even better of an app. So there's a few things that I wanted to change that I can already think of. Like, first of all, the first big thing that I'm thinking is the email. Instead of that, I want to have a username for each account, kind of like how Instagram uses a username, X uses a username, Facebook, I think they probably use a username, but it's more like just the regular name. I think it would be a good idea to add usernames to this social media app. So that's what I'll probably do first. Just set up a simple set up the usernames for the user model. So to do that, we're going to have to add a new field to our user model. I'm going to stop the server real quick. Let's go into the terminal. I'll run a railsg migration command. This is going to add the username to the users. And then we'll do a space username, which will add it as a type string. You can press enter. This is going to create the migration, which will add that new field. As you can see, it created this file. If you want to check the content, we just simply do a cat of the file, and this is the content. So it's adding a column to the users table, which is called username, and it's type string. So that looks good. Now I'll just, or actually, we might want to make that unique, depending on what database you're using. You might have a unique field. So wait, let me go back. Let me do a Rails demigration, which means remove the migration. And then we'll do it again. Instead of doing just string, which is like blank, we can do :unique. And now it'll enforce that the username has to be unique in the database, which might be helpful. So now let's cat that file, see what it added. So you can see it still actually adds a username type string, but the difference is it adds an index, which enforces that the username has to be unique. So that's cool. And then let's do a Rails DB migrate. And boom, we now have usernames on the user model. So to add our username, right now I am signed in as a user. So if I wanted to, let's say, edit my profile, you can go to /users/edit. Right now we don't have a link, but this is how you can edit your profile. So this is what I have right now. I have the email, password confirmation. So this is using the built-in edit functionality from Devise. And one thing about this is that it does require the current password to update your changes, which might be a good thing, but you might also not like that flow just for doing something simple. But I think for changing email or username, it's probably a good idea to check for the password. But also, of course, this is kind of an ugly UI. It would be hard for a user to figure out what's going on because there's like so many different fields, and then you have to remember to put your password here. So this isn't really a great flow. It's just a minimal one that does technically work. So real quickly, I'm going to go to the edit page and add some padding because that padding is kind of making me annoyed. So let's go to app, views, Devise, registrations, edit. And I'm just going to add that same padding top to here. Reload. Cool. So now there's a little bit of padding on the edit page. What we need to do is add our new field to this form. So let me go back in the code. And what I'll do is I'll just come up here to the registrations. And I'm just going to copy this because I'm kind of lazy. So let's copy it, paste it, and then I have to just fix a few things. So let's change it to a text field. Change this to username, autocomplete username. Although, actually, probably not autocomplete username because that autocomplete comes from the browser. So let's not even do autocomplete. Let's also turn off autofocus. We'll leave that for the email. And reload, and boom, we now have a username field on the form. So that is amazing. But we still have to do a change in Devise to allow that field in our form, because right now with the built-in Devise setup, it only permits the email and the password. So we need to permit a new attribute called username. And I'm just going to quickly think right here, this is probably the Stack Overflow I usually go to. So this is the answer. You added before action on the application controller. and then we permit our additional keys. So I'll go to controllers, application controller. I'll drop this code in. So what we're doing is we're doing a before action if it's the device controller. And if it's the device controller, we're permitting the sign up keys, which would be username. Now I also want to permit it for, I don't know what it's called. It might just be update. Sign up. Oh yeah, right here, account update. Or you have to add all your parameters in here. All right, let's try this account update one and see if it works. So I'm going to try to set my username to Indigo Tech. Press update, and we got an error. Oh, right, the current password can't be blank. So I need to put my password in and update. It says it was updated, but I don't think it actually was. I'm going to go into the Rails console real quick. Oh, of course, you have to be in the right directory. Social media. I'm going to go Rails C. And then I'll just check on that last user by doing user.last. I want to see what attributes it has. And of course, oh, it has a username. No way, Indigo Tech. So it did work. It's actually working perfectly. So one good thing that might be, or like one huge thing that we probably want to add is just a simple navbar at the top. And then we could display the username, for the user. We could also give them a link to sign out. So let's add the navbar right now. So to add our navbar, I'm going to go back into the code. Then I'll go over to the app views, layouts, application. So this is where we're going to render our navbar, similar to the layouts, similar to the alerts, how we just rendered a partial. We're going to render another partial, and I'll put it on top of the alerts. I'll render layouts / navbar. Now what we can do is create that new partial in the layouts folder. Do that by creating a new file, call it _navbar.html.erb. So now we have this new file for the navbar. And I'm just going to do some basic styling to try to get this set up. So I'm going to do sticky top 0. It's going to make it stick to the top. And I'm going to start it off with a simple link to home, which is going to go to /route. Let's see what this looks like. Let's reload. And there you go. It's a simple navbar. So what sticky means is that it'll stay at the top initially. It won't affect the styling, but then when you scroll down, it'll actually stick and it'll go with you. This is pretty good. The only thing is I kind of want to add some padding here on the navbar. So I'll probably put an inner div, and then I could add like a max width, full MX auto. Then we could add some flex on this. Do height full. Flex, item center, justified between. It's usually the styling I do for my navbars. So now we have the home right here, and on the other side we could have the username. So what I'll do is I'll say if current user and then I'll just display the username. I'll put that in a P for now. We'll see what that looks like. Cool. So we have a home link, and we also have our username, which shows us that we're signed in. This is looking pretty good already. All right, now we can test if creating a new account with the username will work correctly. So right now when I go to create account, we actually don't have the username field, and that's expected because Those forms are hard-coded for registrations and new. So what we have to do is let's go to the edit, let's take that username field, and then go over to the new and drop it in right underneath the email so that we have a similar flow right here. So you set the email, username, cool. Now another thing that might be nice to have is to validate the presence of the username, because right now you would be able to sign up without setting your username. There wouldn't be an error or anything. So we should actually say that the username has to be present and it also has to be unique. So to set up those validations, we can quickly go into the code, head over to the models and the user.rb. So inside this user class, I'm going to add validates. Well, actually, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can do a method like this, or we can just say validates and then put the name of the field, so username, and then we can say do a comma, and we're going to check for presence true and uniqueness true. As long as I spelt those right, should work. So I'm going to create my new user. Hello world user. Password. Cool. Just like that, we were able to sign in with the user account. Now we could go ahead and switch these emails over to using the username, so we're not leaking all of our users' emails on their posts. So let's go over to the feed underscore post partial, and I'll switch this from email to username. And let's go back in here, reload. And one thing you'll notice is that all these previous posts, the user, because we signed up without the username, we don't have a username on them. But what I'll do is I'll go and fix that in the console. I'll set their username. So let's go into the terminal real quick. I'm going to open up a Rails C shell. And I'm going to do a query. So this is how you do queries in Rails. We can do off the user model, do a .where. And I want to check wherever the username is nil. And then check .count to show how many. So there's 5. Now what I want to do is update all with a new username. So I'll just call it like user, and then I can put a secure random.hex, which would be like a random bunch of characters. So just like, this is the username, user, whatever. Huh, I didn't like that. It says unique constraint failed. Oh, record not unique. Oh, because look. Wait, no, that's. I'm confused. User where username nil. Update all. Oh, I see what's happening. You know what's funny? I was expecting that setting it like this would loop through for some reason. This would try to update all of them simultaneously. It's kind of silly. So we actually need to loop it ourselves. So do like an each, and then we can do brackets to go inside the block. So like each user. And then inside of here, we should do the update. We could say like user and pass in that secure random. So now each one would generate a new ID, just like that. There we go, much better. That's complete. So now I'm just going to exit out, go back in the app, reload, and boom, we got our users. Although obviously it's just a random X, but it is unique. So cool. And I have my user account. This is already a nice improvement. We have usernames instead of emails, and we have a navbar. This is perfect. So next thing that I might do is I could quickly add in a dropdown. So when you click on your username, we could drop down a little div, and then we could have a few helpful links like edit account and sign out too. That's a very easy thing to build. Just a little bit of front end work. So let's go over to the navbar partial. And what I'll do is inside of this if current user check, I'm going to add a new div, which will wrap this username. And then for class, I'm going to do relative. And then we're going to add a data controller. which will connect to our JavaScript. So I'm going to be using the built-in JavaScript library stimulus.js, and this is how you can hook it up. We give it a data controller dropdown. This is going to initialize the JavaScript controller, and then we can have an action. Whenever you click on this username element, we could have a data action, click, and this is going to go to dropdown toggle function. That's kind of how you can hook in the events. You have to do the arrow. It's kind of a silly syntax, but I'm pretty familiar with that at this point. Now what you do is we're going to add a div, which will actually be the menu. So this is going to be absolute. And then we're going to need to like position it below the text. So we might do like top 16. Let's give it a fixed width and height. And bggree 200 should be good. And then finally we can add, we can set this as a target so we can access it in the JavaScript. So we can say data dropdown dash target, and then give this a name. I'm going to call it the menu. Now let's reload, see what we got. Okay, so this is the box. It's a little bit too far down. And also the width is kind of weird. So maybe I'll increase this to like 56. And then top 14. Still a little bit too much. So maybe top 10 maybe. And then we could also do a rounded large. See, it's all square, but doing rounded might help it look a little bit better. Okay, I think that actually looks pretty good. And then inside of it, of course, we would have our links. But we can handle the toggle. So right now, this is always showing. But the way that we can handle toggling it is, first of all, we'll hide it. And then when we click, we're already setting it to that toggle action. So what we'll do is we'll toggle that hidden class on and off of the element. So it's very simple. That's how you can do like very simple UI changes in JavaScript. So we need that stimulus controller. We don't have one yet. So I'm going to go into the terminal and run this command, railsg stimulus, put the name of the controller. It's going to be dropdown. And that's how you can quickly generate a stimulus controller. So now I'm going to go back, go to the JavaScript controllers, dropdown controller. And inside of here, we just have an empty stimulus controller with a connect function. So I'm going to start adding in the few things that we need. So first of all, we need to define targets. Static targets equals this. It's going to be menu. Oh, wow. I don't think I've coded stimulus in so long. This is kind of like looking at the syntax is making me feel weird. That's funny. I mean, I think this is how you do it. I don't even remember now. All right, so then this action is going to be toggle. We're going to grab that event. And then, actually, oh yeah, we do want the event, just in case we want to prevent default. So it doesn't do any, like if it was a link, we wouldn't want it to follow through the link if it's just trying to toggle. What we'd say is this dot menu target dot class list dot toggle hidden. So that should actually work. When you click here, boom, it does toggle the dropdown. Cool. Dropdown open. And then if you wanted, when you click outside of the dropdown for that to close, we can add in another event listener. Just go back to dropdown. I'll do the action right next to the data controller. Although it really doesn't matter. And we're going to check for the click at the window. So instead of the click on the element, it's like the global click. And then we'll send that to dropdown, close unless dropdown. I usually just call it something like this. Well, that's a little bit confusing. And then what we do is we check if the event target is inside of the element. So this dot element dot contains. And actually we would check if not, then we are going to menu target. I really just want to add the hidden class, so I want to hide it. But just in case, you never want to add like more than one hidden class, because then when you try to toggle it off, it won't work because it'll only get one of them. So that's kind of the trick. So what we have to do is we have to check if not this dot menu target dot class list dot contains hidden. You check that first before you set the hidden class. That's only really important when you're adding. When you're removing, it really doesn't matter. It looks like the syntax is wrong on this for some reason. Menu target dot class list. Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh wait, if it's because I forgot the bracket. See, I haven't read JavaScript in a while. All right, let's reload. Boom, click, it toggles, and then click outside, it closes. Perfect. So now quickly I can add in those links, and then we'll be done with this part. It's just a very simple part of the UI that I usually like to add. So inside of this menu section, let's actually do, I kind of want to style it a little bit. I think I can add like some padding on here, p2 flex call. And now let's add a link to edit account. This is going to go to the edit user registration path. And I'll just give this like a little bit of styling. Reload. Perfect. Edit account. You click that, it actually brings you to the edit page. This is already pretty good experience. And then I can finally add in like a sign out link. Usually I put that towards the bottom. Let's do a link to sign out. This is going to go to the destroy user session path. Make sure you don't set it to registration or else that'll delete the user account. We're going to go here and we have to use data turbo method delete to make this link fire a delete request, which will actually sign out the user. And then we can style it with class. I'm just going to try empty auto to push it down. That did work. I could also push it with ML auto. And we could add some padding, rounded large, BG gray, 500, text red, 200. See what this looks like. It's a little ominous sign out button. It's a little bit too ominous. We don't need to be spooky with the red. There we go. So quick little sign out. You click it, boom, it actually signs you out. That's cool. And yeah, here we are back on the app. You can probably choose if you guys want to have your navbar displayed for users that aren't signed out. Or wait, users that aren't signed in. I was thinking I only want to show the navbar for users that are signed in. So I'll probably go back to the application, or wait, layouts application. And I'll just add this quick check if current user, so that if there isn't a current user, they will not show the navbar, just like this. So it's just a regular splash page. Cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a new account again. I'm gonna call this coffee drinker coffee. And let's sign up. We just signed up for social media, guys. This is amazing. Now I'm gonna create my first post. Hello, everybody. I am a coffee drinking coder who loves to learn. Have some fun. Let's grab an image. Probably have a couple images. All right, create post. Go back to the home, and boom! Check it out. This is my latest post. Coffee drinking coder who loves to learn. Obviously, there's still a lot that we could do for refactoring, but I'm pretty happy with this at the same time, just to get to this point already. I guess, although it's been kind of a long series, but I've had fun. All right, so We really haven't even hit the next two things on my list, which are add reactions, add comments. But we have added username and navbar, which is pretty important for my list, because now we have a more usable app. I'll probably get to reactions next, because I was really thinking I want to add reactions, which means I'll have a little icon down here where you can click, and then you can choose a reaction to give to the post, so like an emoji or something.